This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on March the 8th, 2023. And folks, just got done, doing a shift at the hospital, and yeah, that's the job I do where I get paid at. And I keep wondering each and every day, when my guest is going to end up in the emergency room after messing with Granny Hulkster, and I'm just worried about this guy, and I thought I would have him come on here today before Granny Hulkster kicks his ass. I'm just worried about him. So I welcome back the awesome and very daring wrestling extraordinaire, Erik Mattheis. How do you do, Erik?
Oh, well, after a long work week so far, a long work day of delivering alcohol and being successful in the wrestling industry each and every weekend, I'm doing pretty darn fantastic. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, but I got to tell you, you're going to need all that alcohol. It softens the blow. I had Granny Hulkster on here not too long ago, and she had a
Oh boy.
few things to say about disciplining you and turning you into a real man.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, when the nursing home finally gets her out of her curfew and she wants to have some minced words with me, when she wants to step in to the real man's playground and try to run her mouth, when she wants to come to a show I'm at, then I'll be more than willing to teach an old lady that you can't teach an old dog a new trick. And if she thinks she can whip me into shape, I'll just have to take her out back and take her to the woodshed, as the old timers would call it.
Well, she talked about taking you to the woodshed. She said she needed, go get you to, bend over, and she put that on your back, all the wood, and so she'd have some firewood for the winter.
Well, I mean, she could. I mean, like I said, I have to always do the heavy lifting for the show. Of course, when it comes to her being a co-host, because yada yada yada, she likes to talk. She likes to talk, and then she'll just disappear for a while, which I don't understand why she's not on the show. I mean, she's decided to take a little hiatus, maybe because she was tired of not being in the spotlight, but who knows? And I mean, like I said, she wants to run her mouth because I'm a better entertainer. I'm more popular. I've got more friends, more fans. So, she could talk, but maybe the nursing home will let her off with a early or a later curfew. So when she wants to bring that cane into the ring, we'll see what happens.
Yes, but she got invited to WrestleMania. Why didn't you get invited to WrestleMania?
Well, I did, but the fact of the matter is, I've already got multiple bookings that I already made promises, and the one thing I am is loyal. When I have a booking, I got to do it. And if a friend invites me to WrestleMania, that's cool and all, but I already got plans to win gold that day. So,
Okay, all right, all right. Well, I'll tell you, out of the current female roster, because there's a lot of intergender matches going on nowadays. Who would you like to wrestle?
out of in the big leagues, you're talking?
Yeah, the females.
Uh, well, I've always wanted to wrestle like Trish or Lita,
Mm-hmm.
because I know Lita and Trish have been very skilled back then. But if I were to choose from the current roster, it would definitely be a Becky Lynch or maybe a Bianca Belair,
Mm-hmm.
or I mean, to go toe to toe with a female, Ronda Rousey and I can maybe do something.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely a Becky Lynch or a Bianca Belair, because they're about as successful as me. So I guess we gotta go. We gotta see who's the bigger star in the situation.
Well, I heard that Ronda Rousey is actually training Granny Hulkster. You know, I'm.
Oh, well, maybe her loses her bingo arm, she can actually lift more than maybe one pill a day. Maybe her and I can. Well, maybe it'll have to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. I guess just so she's got a fighting chance at a win. I guess I'll give her that. It's okay.
Well, I know that that we all want to see Erik Mattheis taking on Becky Lynch, and we got to have one of those tuxedo matches, where you come out there in your tuxedo and she comes out there looking stunning, with her orange hair, and out there with this nice little tuxedo outfit. But of course, she said she's just gonna rip that stuff off you and leave you humiliated in the middle of the ring. You need to cut a promo right now for that match.
For me versus Becky Lynch.
Yes, yes.
Okay, well, let's see what I could come up with here. All right. Well, big time Bex, you claim for yourself to be the man, but to be the man, you have to beat the man. And if you can't dress like a man, talk like a man, hell, be a man, then what are you? You're just the words, the man. You've got orange hair, which means you've got some fire in you, but who else knows what's burning around you? I don't know. Like, Seth Rollins says, burn it down. If he got something back in the day, that he maybe caught that from you, that's burning. That's some hunk of burning love. But anyway, I hear we have ourselves a little tuxedo match at WrestleMania, and you offered it to me, but I could see you don't want to wear one. So I guess your dream would just to be rip my tuxedo off and show the world the true man in the ring. Well, you'll just get embarrassed and maybe I'll shave your head. And if Seth wants to come interfere in my moment, well, then I guess, I'll just have to give an extra stomp, which I guess I'm okay with. I don't like really to beat up on women who pretend to be men, but if you think you've got the fire crotch to fight me, then I'll see you at WrestleMania.
Absolutely, absolutely. We could make it into an intergender tag team match. Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch versus Erik Mattheis and Granny Hulkster.
Well, I would have to say, since I am the man from every woman's greatest dream and every man's worst nightmare, I think Becky would have to leave Seth for me. And then Granny, because she doesn't like me, apparently. I don't know why. Granny can go over to Seth's corner because I guess Seth may like the women with no teeth. Maybe he likes the gummers, and I'll take the firehead. I don't know. I guess I'll take the one with the great balls of fire, and she could just have the burn it down boy.
Okay. Oh, I loved having you come on here and cut promos. How have you been over the past year?
Well, dealing with injuries, holding gold, joining tag teams, going all over the states so far in wrestling. It's been a pretty good year. Back when we did our first interview, I think I was a dual champion at the time. If I'm not mistaken, I think I held the EWI Epic or the Diamond Championship and the APW World title. Well, I'm still APW World Heavyweight Champion, but I am no longer EWI Diamond Champion. But at April 8th for Reprisal 11, I do have a shot at the EWI Epic Championship. So I will be soon current reigning undisputed APW World Heavyweight Champion, soon to be EWI Epic and BZW World Tag Team Champion, and also soon to be PPW World Tag Team Champion.
Excellent, excellent. It's funny because I was situated in a situation where I could, you know how wrestlers do blading, you know?
Yep.
And I was in a position where I could have done a blading video, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I know the stories, you know, either they have the blade in their mouth or they, you know, wrap it up and they conceal it in their wristband or in their trunks or the referee gives it. And, you know, they either do it where the hairline is or across the crease here, not like Abdullah the Butcher does, which is kind of disgusting up and down, and Bruiser
Yeah.
Brody, or above the eyebrow or just below the eye. And you know, it's funny. I had a couple of people at the hospital that got so fucking paranoid that I was going to actually do this, and whether I did it or not, who fucking cares? That a cop was called me for a wellness check.
Really?
Yep. Now you've bladed yourself before. Did you have cops show up because somebody did a wellness check on you?
No. I have bled both hard way and by blading job in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And, people are like, I mean, I bled pretty bad due to a blade job, but, it's just, it's so, or let it, you just go to the back and you dry it up and whatever you need to do. And if you need to go get stitches, you go get stitches. But if not, then you're all good to go and you put a Band-Aid on and you continue on. I've never had anybody so worried about me that I've had a wellness check or police coming to check on me. That's kind of odd.
Yeah, that happened to me recently, you know, because I made that because I thought it would have made a pretty fucking interesting video if I did the blade job on, you know, where I'm the places, you know,
Oh yeah.
and they were like, you know, people are worried about, yeah, about, you know, possibly harming yourself. I'm like, number one, God bless my workplace, but they need to realize they're not my only fucking audience.
Exactly.
I got
Exactly.
I got people out there. I got recognized at Frightmare in the Falls when I was there last year. You know, I'd never been recognized before. So I got people out there from the UK, people from the States, people from here in Canada, people from wherever that, you know, and it's like, I think it would be a pretty badass video. And somebody had to go ahead, a couple of dudes had to spoil my fucking fun. Now, what do you think? Should I do a blading video?
Well, absolutely. If you want to, you just got to watch what you do. Because, again, in the art of pro wrestling, it's how you do it and how the
Uh-huh.
procedure goes. Like for me, I always like if I'm gonna bleed, I'm always
Mhm.
gonna try to do hard way. But if I just need to get more color, I'll put it under my wrist tape and do it myself. But as
What?
long as you do it carefully and you execute wisely, you should be just fine.
So what's bleeding hard way where they bust you open?
Yeah. So like for instance, give me a second. For instance, like if I'm gonna punch you in the temple right above
Hmm.
your eyebrow,
Yeah.
like when, for instance, Brock Lesnar and Randy Orton at SummerSlam 2016.
Hmm.
Brock took off his elbow pad and elbowed Randy Orton in the skull till he bled. That's hard way. So for me, I like to do it my own way. I like to blade. I'll have somebody hit me with something and get a little stuff going so that when I take my blade and I do it myself, it just helps get more blood, get more color. Um, but I've been busted open hard way where I've been, punched in the nose or the jaw or the temple and I bled a little bit, but you always get the good color with the blade.
Yeah. Now, where's the best place to bleed? Where the hairline is, across the crease, above the eyebrow, or even just below the eye here?
Um, I've only done it across my forehead
Hmm.
and once in the hairline.
Hmm.
Um, I got decent blood from my hairline, but if you want to conceal it, definitely the hairline. Um, If you want to conceal, it's more the hairline and the eyebrow. But I've done it in the middle of my forehead. But you have to take a blood thinner before you go out there. So when you do make a little cut, it'll bleed like nobody's business. So what you do is before you go out there, you cut and then you put petroleum jelly on it. And then once you reopen the wound, it just seeps out. Like it's just a crimson mask, from what I got told. I have not tried that yet, but that's what I got told will get you the most color.
Okay. Yeah, there are some wrestlers out there that bled a lot. Terry Funk, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Mick Foley, the list goes on. There are wrestlers that bled a lot. I miss blood in wrestling. You don't see it a lot now, and I wish you did. I hate a steel cage match where there's no blood.
Exactly.
If there's no blood, like people talk about the Bret Hart Owen Hart cage match, and I was like, it sucked. Because I mean, how many times can you get slammed against the cage and not bleed?
Exactly.
I thought it was terrible.
Well, like for instance, wrestling, like with Owen and Brett, I can understand where there was no blood. Like, cause it's like brother versus brother. It's technical. It's more technical stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
like for instance, when you do a steel cage, it's usually a blow off match to a big rivalry. So if you're gonna do something with that kind of stipulation, why wouldn't you do blood? Like
Exactly.
it's ridiculous. Like if you're gonna have a big blow off match and you want to see a certain person get their ass kicked, why the hell would you not allow them to blade or do
Mm-hmm.
blood? Like I bled through with barbed wire, thumbtacks, cheese
Mm-hmm.
graters, and it's been very rare because, of course, it went to TV PG where it's family friendly. And I get that, but AEW does it quite often, like with John Moxley or um, uh, Dustin Rhodes. For instance, like they even cut the camera on John Moxley while he was cutting himself. Like they showed him doing it, getting ready for it. And I miss blood. I just it's got to be for like specific things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, if it's a big blow off match to a big rivalry, of course have blood.
Mm-hmm.
Or because like you want to see them all put it out on the line. You want to see them shed their blood, sweat, and tears. But if it's like a one-on-one cage match just for shits and gigs, or if it's like if they want to do a hardcore match and they're going to use a weapon that should cause blood, then let them bleed.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. And you gotta be careful too when you do blade jobs, because I know one of them that stands out to me was Eddie Guerrero versus JBL, and
Yep.
Guerrero he went a little too deep. I think he cut too deep.
Yeah, he cut an artery and needed a blood transfusion in the back after he got done because he lost so much blood. He actually lost consciousness the second he got to the back.
Yep. Although I gotta say, terrific match though.
Absolutely. And the
He
fact that he still pulled through it after losing so much blood was just awesome. But like again, and like after Eddie Guerrero did it, yeah, I think it was what 2005 maybe. No, he
I
was
don't
gone in
know.
05. I think it
I
was
know.
I think it was 2004.
Hmm.
I think it was him and JBL in 2004, and then John Cena and JBL did it in 2005. The same pay-per-view, same spot, and John Cena bled like crazy too.
Oh wow. Yeah. So no, no. But I know if I did a bleeding video, I know I'd get lots of hits on it. I think there's people out there that think, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck the wellness checks. I'm like, I'm okay. I'm not gonna kill myself.
Exactly. Gotta you just gotta execute it well. You
Yeah.
can't just oh yeah and just start slicing your face because I mean no need to do that. But if you explain like this is where you would do it, or if you want
Oh
to cut
yeah.
spot, then like I said, put some petroleum, like do it, make a little nick, put some petroleum jelly.
Where
Should
do you
be
get
good.
petroleum jelly?
Probably like a pharmacy, maybe. It's kind of like
Okay.
what the hell is it? Kind of like salve, like probably where you get salve and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they meant. I think they called it petroleum jelly, but it's like it's something that seals the wound, but also keeps it open, like and lets the blood kind of flow. So then when you cut that, it just the blood mixes with it, and it just crimson mask.
Yeah. And how do you prepare the blade?
Um,
Because
I
you hear the stories about Abdullah the Butcher and that fork, and Hep C and all that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I just take a common razor blade and I'll make it nice and skinny to where the blade's like maybe this long,
Uh-huh.
just very small, triangle kind of shape, and then you just wrap it up in tape.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put a couple layers of tape first, and then I'll put the blade underneath, and I'll wrap a couple more layers, or maybe another layer, so then I can quickly get it, and then do my thing, and then either put it back or toss it, because I don't want to put only one layer on it just in case I cut my wrist, and then all
Yeah.
of a sudden bleeding, and then it's like, well, that just gave away everything, and then I could lose a lot of blood doing that. So
Yeah. Yep. I find it funny, I some of the places where like I don't understand why anybody would hide the razor blade in their mouth, or in their trunks, It's like really?
well, I can understand maybe the trunks because if they've got a little like fabric place like in the front to stuff it in,
Hmm.
that's okay. But like, I would never do it in the mouth, only
No.
because you could cut your mouth wide open, or you could accidentally swallow it if you take a bomb,
Oh.
or if you have it in your trunks, you got to keep it up towards the top so you're not digging in your junk for it. That's why I always do wrist tape. So then I can, if I want to use it in a match, I can rip off the tape and choke someone. Or if I have a blade in there, that I can conceal it easily. I think
Hmm.
for the most recent match where I bled, I took, it was called the Royal Purge. A guy took two plates, smashed them over my head, and then took a broken piece of the glass and cut me open a lot, or cut me open pretty good. And then I
Hmm.
took the blade and finished the job. But I had to hide two blades because another man didn't want to put it in his tights. So I held two blades. So when the other guy was ready, he asked, like, we rolled under the ring and I gave him his.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. It mu I've heard a lot about wrestlers working together, and you got to trust them with your body.
oh,
Talk
absolutely.
about you talk about that process.
Okay. Well, of course, everybody needs training. That much is true. Everybody that wants to be a wrestler, a lot of people come out there and they think, oh, it's just a fucking trampoline. Or, oh, they know how to fall. It's like, look at fucking Undertaker, Mankind, King of the Ring 1998. Do you
Yep.
think Mick Foley learned how to fall 16 feet off the top of a cell onto a table? Do you think they practiced that? Absolutely the hell not. They did it one time and that was it. But everybody that wants to get in the ring, wants to do something, they need training. They need a lot of training so they don't hurt themselves or hurt someone else.
Hmm.
And when you go out to that ring, you put your life in someone else's hands, because one wrong move can cause broken bones, torn muscles, paralyzation, possible death, anything. Anything can happen in that ring. Heart attacks, whatever the case may be. And when you go out there with somebody, you have to trust that person to keep you safe, as well as they need to trust for you to keep them safe.
Hmm.
And if you're not comfortable doing something, and let's say you and I were booked in a match, blah blah blah, and I said, "All right, I'm going to give you the three amigos,"
Hmm.
and you've never taken a German suplex before,
Okay.
and you've been in business a little longer than I have.
Hmm.
And you're like, hey, I'm not comfortable taking that. We shouldn't do that tonight. I've never taken one before.
Mm-hmm.
I should have done that. There was a guy by the name of Chucky who I had to
A
wrestle against.
doll?
No, I wish, but he would have probably been better. He would probably been better than. But anyway, he tells me in the middle of our match, he grabs me by the waist and says, German. Well, I know what I need to do to take a German, but I've never done it before, nor have I ever seen him give a German. Well, he drops me on the back of my neck and gives me a severe concussion. So it's like every time you go out there, you have to trust that your opponent will keep you safe. And if you feel unsafe about taking a move, then don't do it. I mean, if you're comfortable and you want to try it, then so be it. But you have to tell that person, hey, we need to work on this real fast, or you need to explain to me just so they're prepared. Because, like I said, one wrong move and you could be 6 feet under the next day.
I think one of the biggest badasses I've ever seen is Terry Funk. I mean, I've seen him in Japan and exploding ring matches, you know.
Oh, that guy's a psycho. And I
Yeah.
love that. Like, I do that too. Because
Mm-hmm.
I love putting on the show for the fans. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, a lot of people, when, for instance, I landed on the table covered in thumbtacks, people are like, are you fucking dumb? And I said, no, I didn't mind doing it. They're like, I would never do that in a million years. I'm like, well, I was, and I did it. And like I said, it's, I was going to say it. And oh yeah. What the hell was I going to say? Now I
You're
can't
go-
fucking remember. Yeah.
you're go
Like
you go say that Granny Hulkster rules.
Nah. Okay. Yeah. I don't have Alzheimer's like her yet. Okay. I mean, the concussions have fucked my head up, but not that bad. But yeah, like Terry Funk and the stuff that he's like willing to do is absolutely insane. What he's done to his body, his mind, his everything. And it's like, and for instance, like when it comes to the blading job, you have to trust them that if they're gonna make you bleed hard way, that they're gonna do it correctly. Like for instance, when um Goldust and Roddy Piper at
Mm-hmm.
their street fight or whatever it was called,
Yep.
part brawl in WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
He was punch him in the head and bust him open. Well, Roddy grabbed him by the temple or by the head and just punched him straight in the temple, gave him a concussion like that, and it didn't make him bleed. So he did it like 4 more times, and he still didn't get blood. Whereas, like I said, with the plates or the cheese grater, the guy put the cheese grater across my head and just slid it across,
Mm-hmm.
and that caused me to bleed. Or the broken plate. I said, don't push too hard, get a cut going, so then when I roll under, I can dig deeper. Because they don't know how much pressure to put on your own skin. You do. Like, you know what you're capable of and you know what you're able to take. So when they hit you with something, they're going to make you bleed a little, then you can finish the job. But if they're careful enough, they can do some magic.
There you go. There you go. Well, what do you have coming up? You got a match coming up you had mentioned earlier. Talk about that.
Well, I just wrestled last Saturday in Bismarck for BZW in a tag team match, which gave me a tag team title match at WrestleVersary for BZW. But this Saturday, I'll be in Wyocena, Wisconsin for No Regrets Wrestling. I'm in a tournament for a title.
Mm-hmm.
I forget my opponent, but who cares because it's just me versus him. And then I take 1 week off, and then the next week I defend my world heavyweight title in a match. I believe I accept the challenge of Nick Pride, but I'm not sure if I've got to wrestle Bullet Bronson in it too. I gotta see. I gotta figure that out with my investor. And then after that, I'm going to eventually I'll be going to South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, possibly New York, maybe Maine. But mostly it's going to be Wisconsin dates for now. And then if this all bodes well, James Ellsworth's going to get me a tryout with the WWE next time they're in Wisconsin for tryouts.
Oh, I love James. Yeah. Well, you keep that belt shined up because Granny Hulkster said she's going to take it from you.
Well, by that time, if she can live that long to get down to where I am, then maybe she can. Maybe I'll give her an opportunity. Maybe I'll let her wear it. Build up her confidence just so I can bury her ass. I mean, quite literally, possibly after I get through with her. Maybe we'll have a buried alive match, and maybe it'll just be an early funeral for Miss Granny Hulkster.
You know, you mentioned WWE, what would your aim be, WWE or AEW right now?
Oh, by far AEW. By far.
Okay, why? And
Well,
I'm not arguing. I'm just wondering,
oh
why.
no,
Yep.
no. Well, I got asked this question on another person's podcast called the Dropkick Diaries,
Mm-hmm.
and they asked me Impact, WWE, or AEW, and the other guy would pick a WWE, whereas I told him AEW, and the reasons are because there you get more control of yourself and what you
Mm-hmm.
do. You get more of your own character control, or I forget what's that correct term? Yeah, character control or whatever. You get to control more of your own narrative, and there's a lot of up and coming stars there. There's a lot of big timers there, and there's a lot more of I would say, an opportunity
Mm-hmm.
because WWE, for instance, they've had Roman Reigns as champion, as the big dog, as the big guy for 3 years now. Like he's been, and I get it, he's one of the best out there. He's one of the best as his heel with the bloodline. But now I believe Cody Rhodes is going to take the titles from him, but he had to come from AEW to do that. Whereas, like I said, AEW, you have more of your own control over your own narrative. There's more opportunities for more wrestling. There's more shows you can get booked on, that kind of thing. So I could wrestle John Moxley or Chris Jericho, or I wish I could have wrestled Brody Lee, but unfortunately, he's long gone now. But you got the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, like all those kind of guys and they've got variant kind of guys. Whereas, like, if you go to WWE, you'll get the money, but you possibly won't be happy with the way you're getting pushed because not a lot of guys are getting pushed. Like Drew McIntyre was the big guy for like what, a few months, and then
Mm-hmm.
back to the drawing board again. Or Seth Rollins, he was the big guy for almost a year, I believe it was, after he turned on the Shield, and then gone. And then he changed his character up, and now he's Seth freaking Rollins. And it's like there's a lot of people that could be doing a lot better in WWE if they just got pushed the right way instead of just keeping specific people consistently at the top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Well,
for instance, for instance in AEW, they had Chris Jericho as champion, then they had John Moxley as champion, they've had Kenny Omega as champion. I mean, for God's sakes, they had Hangman Adam Page as champion. And now, honestly, in my opinion, they've got one of the greatest heels today in pro wrestling, a guy who actually I've been compared to, so I think that's quite a fucking honor. MJF as their current heavyweight champion. And I think he could be champion for a year or two easily.
I heard somebody call him AEW's version of Roddy Piper. Is there any truth to that?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because Roddy Piper was just a guy, was a guy you love to hate
Mm-hmm.
because he knew how to talk and he knew how to back up his words. MJF is more of he can play that kind of guy. He knows how to talk on the mic. He knows how to back up his words, but he's also more of like the pussy heel. Like, he'll run away or he'll refuse matches or whatever the case may be. Like, and then he always uses the word mark. Like, honestly, I'm getting tired of him using that because it's like you just call everybody a mark. But, you know, he still knows how to cut promos, brilliant promos. And I remember one time he rolled out of the ring and he looked in the camera, he's like, oh, what the hell is the guy's name now? I can't the guy who gives out the stars for wrestling matches.
Oh, Dave Meltzer.
He's like, "Oh, Dave, is this gonna knock me down a star? Am I gonna be whatever?" Blah blah blah. And I'm like, he knows, he references today's times, so he does really well that way, and he knows how to wrestle, and he knows how to cut promos. Like, I remember, and I kind of wanted to do this myself since I have turned face in one of these companies, and when I win their title, I'm gonna pull the same shit he did. He was like, "Oh, guys, I turn my ways. I'm gonna win this fair and square, and I'm gonna win it because I earned it." And the second he won the title, he's like, "I won it," or he was like, "Guys, I won it, but you believed every word I fucking said. I'm gonna win it because I earned it. Fuck that. I won it because I'm fucking the best, and you know it." Like, he turned everybody against him, and he played them, and then he just said, "Fuck all of you. I'm the best," and that kind of thing. He swerved him, and it was so good.
Well, it was great having you come back on here tonight, and I love hearing you cut the promos, and whatnot, and I'm glad, through Scott, the Icon Helmsrest, we were able to get connected. But before we wrap this up, of course, we got to have another promo because I know, the match is gonna happen at some point where you take on Trish Stratus and Lita, and 2 versus 1, and
Okay.
I want to hear the promo for that because that's gonna happen. Cut that
And
promo.
yeah, the one thing, and I always tell people, is the one thing I love about wrestling is cutting promos, especially as a heel, because you could sit there and you could throw things at people. You could be rude as hell. You could be a fucking prick. And you just get away with it because you could be a cocky prick and you can insult the people. And it's just so easy to make people hate you.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. But, all right. So is there going to be is it like a special stipulation or is it just a regular match?
What kind of a stipulation would you want with those 2 women?
Definitely, I like a fulfilling fantasy match from back in the day, like in the old WWE video games.
Yeah. What kind of fantasy? What kind of fantasy?
Well, we can't really. I mean, we could recreate the Edge and Lita celebration, but be a little more graphic on TV. I mean, because WWE just kind of pussified that. Like, we would go full blown right there in the ring.
Well, cut that promo.
All right. Too bad I don't have a cigar for this right now, but I'd totally be lighting a cigar for this, wearing a fucking Hugh Hefner robe, just fucking laying back. But anyway.
Talk about that fantasy.
Exactly. Trish Stratus and Lita. 2 female legends of the pro wrestling industry. You are looking at the man from every woman's greatest dream and every man's worst nightmare. So the pleasure will be both of yours when you 2 get to double team me, which is the fulfilling your fantasy in the fulfill your fantasy match against Mattheis. Now, when you walk out to that ring wearing, God knows what you're going to wear because you guys are old, but you're still got it going on. Like, Jesus Christ, in a bucket. Anyway, That's for another conversation. But we will be settling this in the rings. Like I said, I will be fulfilling your fantasy by just getting in the ring with me. Now, you could bring anything you want. You could bring a pillow. You could bring the whips, the chains. Hell, you could bring a donkey and a clown for all I care. Because the pleasure, again, will be all yours when you step in that ring and fulfill your fantasy match with me. And it's going to be graphic. We're going to be making noises that are going to be banned by the Geneva Conventions. And we'll be doing actions that I think about 20 states have banned, maybe a few countries. And hell, we'll put it on video. So each and every night before you go to bed, you can watch the only thing that gives you true happiness in this world. And that's me. So, the biggest show of the year at the biggest company in the biggest match ever promoted. Trish Stratus and Lita double team Mathias in a fulfill your fantasy match. You guys started this, and I'm going to finish the job. 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Oh man, Trish looks great, but I gotta say, I've always loved Lita.
Oh yeah, like
She always.
the punk rock with the Hardys, and like just like her skill set was just incredible. And then just being the biggest bitch in the world with Edge, it just worked. Like she was a fantastic heel, and people play her as face now, but man, I would have that old version of Lita any day of the week.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Anything else that you want to promote on here before we close off?
I guess there's nothing really. I've got those upcoming bookings. If you want to check out my page, just look up Matthis on Facebook. You'll see me holding the APW World Heavyweight Championship. I post everything on there. I don't really go on Instagram much. I'm not really much of a social media kind of guy because my words can talk, but my actions will do all the talking for me. So if you want to look at some promos or some matches, look up Erik Mattheis on YouTube, or I share the videos on my Facebook page. Check out my matches, check out my promos, check out my matches and my page all together. Other than that, I'll see you losers in my event so I can kick your ass, take your lady to the back, finish the job, and stay the man from every woman's greatest dream and every man's worst nightmare.
Absolutely. Folks, check out Erik Mattheis, if Granny Hulkster leaves anything left of him.
Buried alive, Granny. I'm coming for you.
Well, God bless you, man. Thank you so much for coming on here. And we look forward to seeing what else you have coming down the pike. I'm going to get you to cut do a plug for my show before you go. Just state your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Hey, do you want me to do my my wrestling or my full name?
Either way, doesn't matter. Go for it.
Greg Gilbert, Python's Paradise. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. Okay, that's one take, right? Ladies and gentlemen, this is the man from every woman's greatest dream and every man's worst nightmare, Mathias. And you are listening to Python's Paradise with the one and only Greg Gilbert.
Absolutely. You take care, man, and you keep winning those belts.
Absolutely. I'll keep the gold hanging for you.
Absolutely. Thanks. Absolutely. You take care. God bless.
You too, big guy.